Hi, my name is Soile, and you're listening to Heart to Heartland, a fan podcast from a fan perspective. Welcome back to the podcast. Now, before I get any further, I just want to signal a spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the first episode of season 18, because this is a confusing time because this season is different with the way the episodes will be aired, because the streaming service CBC Gem will have episodes 1 week in advance, and then CBC TV will have it later on. So if you haven't seen episode 1, come back when you have, or if you don't mind spoilers, do stay as we talk about the season opener and go through all your comments and share thoughts and feelings involving watching the first episode, True Grit. Thanks for everyone who commented and for everyone who took part of dissecting this episode in a way. So yeah, let's get started. Stephanie said, "This was a good season opener. We got to see Amy and Lou moments, and we got to see Lou working with Tim and Jack, which was great. The only people that were missing was Lisa and Jessica. They'll probably explain it away next episode, but considering they live on the farm, it's odd when they aren't around. Some scenes that stood out to me were Amy and Nathan acting all flirty and adorable at the start. Him asking her out on a date was so cute. Then going a step even further and asking Lindy what kind of meal he should make for Amy. I love their little interaction. I'm bummed that Amy let Nathan's ex-wife get in her head and have more doubts about him. I know things will probably, well, hopefully, work out between them, but it did make me pretty sad when at the end we see he went to all his work in making the picnic for her to say she's unavailable. Oh, and we met Nathan's ex. I had a feeling we would at some point, but didn't expect it to be in the first episode of the season. Katie being interested in creative writing. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. What does confuse me is when she joined the class and noticed it was supposed to be 18 and up. Why couldn't she just ask if she can still be a part of it even though she's 15/16? Or see if there's another class? I know it's for the drama, but a pet peeve of mine is when something that can be easily explained or solved is turned into a huge deal. I find annoying. Yes, I know we need more plot and drama, but maybe it could come from something else. Like she's asked to write a piece she isn't comfortable with, or she's struggling for inspiration. They gave Lou a horse. Can't really say I didn't see that coming, but I'm glad she finally had a horse of her own, since Venus has mysteriously vanished. Looking forward to seeing where the rest of the season is headed. Yeah, I wanted to comment that Katie thing because, well, it fits her style and her passions to have a creative writing class. But the 18 and up thing made me wonder, okay, where is this story headed? I do like what Stephanie said about like having trouble writing a piece about something she's not comfortable with or something like that. I do wonder if it kind of escalates toward a situation where something like that happens, like maybe a life experience you had when you something like an older person would do. Or maybe there's like a party and they're going to a bar and she doesn't have ID, or I don't know. I feel like it will escalate into something and she will kind of struggle with that. But I do wonder where that journey sort of takes her. I hope that it doesn't make her not want to write, because it's obvious that it's her thing and this is a great outlet for her to really train that muscle. Then HL Horses said, I enjoyed the first episode. I think the thing I found the most shocking was that there was no big time jump. I don't think they've ever done that before, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'll be interested in how they make it look like fall when they are actually filming in the summer. I thought Amy and Nathan were so cute throughout the whole episode. I was not expecting Tristan to show up. I'm sad at how the episode ended, but we know there were more romantic scenes coming up with them, so I'm hopeful. The Nathan and Lindy interaction was so cute. Also, I loved sheepdog competition as it was something different. Molly was also super cute. I will say, Nathan setting up the picnic date for Amy at the end was so sweet and yet so sad when Amy rejected him. I also really like the sister talk about relationships that Lou and Amy had. It makes their sister relationship seem more real. I was definitely not expecting all the Finn mentions. Amy crying over her attempts at relationships was so heartbreaking. I just hope the first convo they had about Amy not wanting someone who doesn't open up and who has skeletons in their closet is not foreshadowing. I hope it was just relevant to Amy's decision at the end of this episode. Speaking of Lou, I really enjoyed seeing her do more of the ranch work. I also love seeing her talk business as she's super good at it and in her element. Also, now the horse in Lou's promo pic makes sense, and I was sort of getting the vibe that Stetson would be hers throughout the episode. Glad to know it's not just some random horse. I don't really have much to say about Jack and Tim as they were just kind of there doing their business as usual. However, seeing Jack in that morning show had me dying. I just wish we could have seen Lisa's reaction. I was also in shock at them using the TV. Jack did have a good line about Tim eating all the buns. Tim also had some funny moments like calling Jack Jurassic. Katie didn't have too much screen time, but I like she's still writing. I don't know if they did this on purpose, but I think it's funny they are kind of playing into the fact that Babe looks so much older than Katie's age. In general, the walkie-talkies were hilarious, as well as the continuing of the running joke that no one thinks of Tim when it comes to vehicle maintenance or repair, like Katie last season. Lindy playing Lou with her chores was pretty funny as well, as Logan trying to play it off like that fence he was repairing wasn't Nathan's. Side note, I enjoyed seeing Amber doing some of the roping stunts, and the sheepdog competition announcer was the same guy as the working cow horse competition last season. All in all, good episode and set up for the season. Can't wait till next week. Oh, forgot to say this, but they have Lou, a horse, but where's Venus? Probably in the well with all the others. I did like a lot of the funny moments you pointed out with this one. Like Tim had some cute moments. Like even though when he wasn't the main focus, he had those little moments where you just kind of get the little chuckle out of. About the time jump, I think the last time something like this happened was obviously with season 14. Well, with that, they had a lot of reasons why the season started that way, but the first moments are like a little flashback moment to what happened in season 13, and then addition to that. And then it's like a year later. But with this episode, I feel like it was extended to a whole new level because the whole episode was basically like a flashback, which was kind of like, wait, this has happened like a year ago almost. But it's kind of funny. But I think it was kind of needed. And I know a lot of people were confused, like why all of a sudden it picks up like where the last season ended. But I've actually thought about this a lot during the between season phase because it was obvious that something was happening between Amy and Nathan in season 17 finale. But then I've been thinking like the season premiere of this season will pick up like, I don't know, 9 months later. And it's like, well, at that point, you would think that something would have happened already, it's clear that something is bound to happen. So it's kind of like, I don't want to miss those like 9 months, those important moments like first date, like official first date, maybe the first kiss, important talks between them, like where they establish their boundaries and figure each other out. So I was like, how are they going to do that without us feeling like we were robbed a lot of things? Because you can't have just Amy take off somewhere for 9 months and come back and be like, oh my gosh, like I haven't seen you in months and it's been kind of crazy, like texting each other and all that. Or have Nathan do that because it's like, well, he has the business and all that. So it's kind of like logistically, like doesn't make sense. So when I saw that it was like 1 week later, I was like, what? Wait, why? But then I was like, oh, you know what? That makes sense. And the response was kind of immediate in my head because, like I said, I've been thinking about this a lot. And I think it was important, especially for the sake of the story with Amy and Nathan. I feel like this whole episode was really major for them, and we needed to see that moment instead of just hearing about it. So I think it was a good decision to make it like that, even though it's kind of like, well, it's kind of strange, like this has happened like months ago, but then it's also like happening right now. And it's supposed to be like end of the summer, but it's clearly spring and all that. I think that worked out, especially for Amy and Nathan. I don't know about like, obviously 9 months or so later would have worked just fine for the storyline with Lou and Jack and Tim, because it's like we can hear about that instead of hearing about Amy and Nathan instead, if that makes sense. But then again, it's kind of like important to see these like first real steps with Lou as well. And I think maybe episode 2 will jump forward again for months, and they avoid that whole thing like pretending that it's at the end of the summer when it's clearly spring, and then, making it kind of like, well, Lindy kind of grew up all of a sudden. But it will be interesting to see if that is the case and how the story with Amy and Nathan especially has evolved. Like, have they not been in the talks since what happened at the end of this episode? Or will we hear about them trying to kind of get things started, but then it was like not the right time and all that? I don't know. We will see. But the Lou, Jack, and Tim story, the beef story, I don't know how that'll work. Like, did they eventually get the rain? But then obviously it was clear in the trailer that this is going to be a problem for them, the water thing. I don't know. But I think it was an interesting choice to have it happen a week later. But I think it worked out, at least in my opinion. Then Jennas said, I have mixed feelings. I enjoyed the obvious flirting and tension between Amy and Nathan, but given the ending, I feel like we will see a lot more of him trying to win over Amy, being there, done that with Caleb. The mention of Finn was saddening. Heartland has a tendency to throw everyone in the well, so it shocked me the nature they brought him up. I like the start of the storyline Lou is going to take on Stetson will be good for her as he's experienced and she's still learning. I'm curious to see how Peter will react about all the things she's doing for the family business. Jack and Tim were Hills making comments about each other and being worried about the lack of water, which is a growing concern further down the line. The tiny time jump is a different thing, but I wonder which seasons we will get, if it's just summer and fall or winter and spring. Lindy was cute, but really just mostly in the background. Spartan and Harley both making appearances felt right. I would like to see more of Lou and Amy sharing the secret of Amy's crush, but I worry Lou will bring it up to her business partners. I felt like Logan's part was very predictable. I joked about it before it was Tim asking him to spy. Maybe due to the fact I've watched it for so long. There isn't many things I would change. I did, however, feel bad at the ending with poor Nathan and his cold waffles. Hopefully he likes blueberry. overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. There were some good classic moments, but I feel like in the long run, since it's only 10 episodes, they will all be jam-packed until the clear storylines are drowned out for all characters. I really, really liked the scenes with Amy and Lou in this episode. I was kind of afraid with the way the episode began, like that the tension would take over immediately. But then we have that scene in the kitchen where Amy is like, okay, Lou, I have a favor to ask. Can you be my sister instead of being part of the Heartland beef? And I like that Lou was like, okay, fine. And then they had that conversation and were like really raw and honest with each other. I've missed those scenes and I felt like it was good to see them establish those things because later on, I suspect it will get ugly. So it's good to have that understanding between them before things get messy. I also really liked when they were having the other talk and she's like, I don't want to have a stranger's opinion weigh so much of a decision that I'm supposed to do. And Lou is like, no, she's not probably wrong. And then they have all that talk. And like you, like I was really shocked that they actually mentioned Finn because of the way things went. That it's kind of like, okay, we did that, but let's not talk about it ever again. But storyline wise, it makes sense for Amy to have that wound that hasn't fully healed yet, especially with given her history with Ty as well. Like, of course, it's like scary and she tries to give people a chance, but it's like, how much can I really trust? So I really like that they showed that side of the whole thing as well. And while it was really heartbreaking how it ended, especially with the way that the camera moved further from Nathan and we see the picnic and it's like, oh no. But I did like, or I found myself thinking many times during the episode that the way Amy has grown and matured is like really satisfying to watch. Her being like honest with Lou, like saying, okay, I want to tell you the truth and I want you to be my sister right now. I know you're going to freak out, but I need you in this moment. And then when Tristan, Nathan's ex, was like explaining the reason why she felt like she had no other choice but to cheat in a way. And Amy was like, I don't think I need to hear this. I liked how she established her boundary. So I really liked that she was able to do that. And then even though at the end, she was able to kind of be honest, but not completely with Nathan, or at least she didn't just ghost him, which is like something that happens a lot these days. So at least she was able to tell him like, I don't think this is going to work out. So he's not left wondering like, why doesn't she return my text or my calls or whatever? But then again, it's like, I feel like they should have had a deeper conversation and Amy should have been able to explain to him why she doesn't think it's gonna work out and all that. But of course, you know, this is TV, like this is gonna create the tension and the trauma and the juicy bits that we will see later on. So I'm gonna give it a pass for now, but I hope that they will continue work out the way they interact with each other, because I did really like the Amy and Nathan scenes in this episode, and I do think that Amy is right in some ways, that Nathan needs someone he can trust on, and she can definitely be that, but it's going to take a lot of time. But it's kind of like the way Amy works with an abused horse. Like the horse is not going to trust her right away, but as long as she shows up, she shows the horse that the horse can trust her. It's like, okay, the horse is gonna eventually let their guard down and come to her, and there's like a join up and all that. So I think metaphorically that'll happen with Nathan throughout the season. So I'm really looking forward to that. Then Baker Courtney said, I don't like how nearly the entire episode was Amy and Nathan flirting. Just for Amy to overly react and end things the way she did with Nathan at the end of the episode. Like, what? So dramatic and a bit harsh on her part. Sometimes Amy can be dramatic, I'm realizing, but otherwise, it was refreshing to see some new places in the filming. That was another thing. Like, I feel like even though this felt really fresh, like with us seeing like sheep herding competition, Nathan's place, the library, and all that, it still felt like really Heartland like. And I feel like it's due to Dean Bennett directing, probably, but also the way the actors work in the environments and make it seem natural for them as well. So I really like that it was fresh, but also familiar in many ways. Then Slitsuper said, overall, this episode was a great season opener. It showed that the show has life and told us what can expect to work through this season. I am glad there is some tension between Amy and Nathan, but I hope it's not overdone in the season. Let's see more of the family, maybe? On the subject of the time jump, that was definitely a surprise. I wonder why the writers choose to do it that way. On another page, the consensus is that it was because of Amy and Nathan. I wonder if, at least on some level, it has to do with Jack's age. Either way, I'm glad they said it, especially since Lindy, Katie, and Logan have visibly aged between seasons, so it definitely looks more time has passed. Maybe this just happened to be a week everyone went to get haircuts. I literally thought the same thing. Like the hair salons at Hudson were like overbooked this week. Yeah, anyways. Also, we suddenly found ourselves in a brand new truck in a week. Even still, just glad for new episodes. I was a little bit concerned before watching this episode because of the way I don't usually like the season openers for some reason. I don't know, like it always feels like they're trying really hard to be like, okay, we're back and this is what we're gonna do. And I'm hoping you will join the ride. But I feel like the 1 week later thing sort of helped the storyline for me at least, because it was sort of like, well, we never went away, technically. So it's not going to be like so epic and grand for us to come back. It's just like, yeah, what's up? Like, this is what we've been doing and this is what's happening right now. And I think it really helped the episode. I mean, the storyline overall, I like that it was sort of a mixture of everything. Like, obviously, the Amy and Nathan storyline was a big focus, but also the Lou and Jack and Tim storyline as well, with a little bit of Katie's storyline on the side. But I felt like it was really balanced and like family focused and sort of the heart of the heartland in a way. I also really liked that we saw Lou call out Jack in a way that it's like it's been coming for a long time. Like Jack obviously was thinking like, I'm just trying to protect Lou and Amy and all the others. But then Lou is like, okay, we're in the business now, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do something else, and you have to be honest with me. And I really like that moment because it's so true, especially watching the whole story arc from season 1 to where they are right now. It's like Jack needs to see Lou, especially, as someone who can handle bad news, because she really can. She's not going to love them, but she's going to deal with them and it'll help the business in the long run. Also, I wanted to touch the moment with them watching the TV and Jack being on the like cooking show. I mean, it was very on brand for Lou. Like that is something she would totally set up. But I got this like, I don't know, like bad feeling about the scene. I feel like it was mostly due to the music. I think it was done on purpose to possibly set ground for something that is about to come, because in a way the scene did read a bit comical with the way that Jack was like fumbling with his words and forgetting the address of the website and all that. And then in the end, he was like giving a typical Jack speech to the host. But I feel like due to the music that there is something ominous coming, like his mind is probably starting to play tricks on him, like he's starting to forget things maybe, and it's like a start of something that'll eventually progress into possibly something a little more sadder. I don't want to think that way, but it's just like the music, it haunted me in that scene. I was like, I don't like this. Like, I want to be laughing with the rest of the characters, but I just can't. Which then made me wonder, like, the way they've built this up. Like, we see Lou stepping up, helping with the business. So if Jack needs to step back a little bit, well, they've built a little bridge for Lou and Tim to take more charge of the business. And how will that play into the situation with Nathan? And I don't know, like, I feel like, especially in the trailer, we see Tim wearing this bolo tie thing, and he has Heartland logo on it. So I'm wondering if that scene with him dancing with Jessica is in the last episode of the season, and that is possibly the polo tie is like a hint of him taking a bigger role in the Heartland beef business. I don't know. These were just some thoughts that went through my head as I was watching that scene, and then after I was done watching the episode. So I'm just putting them out there. They sound scary. They scare me too, but I don't know. Maybe someone else felt this way as well. Then Dip said, I enjoyed all storylines presented in episode 1, and I am anxious to see how they all progress going forward. All the characters behaved as I would expect them to. Jack, unable to perceive Lou as a business equal and keeping important information from her. Tim resorting to sneaky methods and strong-arming Logan to do his dirty work. Lou working in overdrive, trying to pull the other two forward. Amy vacillating, unable to decide whether to take a chance on Nathan or not. I like the hat shorthand that Amy used to let Lou know that what she needed from her, and hope that they can continue to navigate this potential minefield united. I'm also happy that this episode's horse story resulted in a new horse for Lou. Venus, after all, is not a skilled ranch horse, but a trail horse for the Dude Ranch. I think that Stetson will somehow be there for Lou when she gets injured, and the writers will develop a real bond between Lou and this horse. I like that Katie's desire to be a writer remains a consistent theme. Kudos to the writers for incorporating the fact that Bay looks mature for her age into a storyline. I was also thinking that we will probably see a big bonding moment between Lou and Stetson when she gets injured somehow, which is exciting because I really want them to have this relationship, real relationship, like the ones we've seen with Amy and Spartan and Jack and Paint, and then Buddy, and now with Blue, and then Tim with Champ and all that. So while she's working, she has to really rely on the horse, and the horse has to trust her as well. So I really can't wait to see that storyline evolve, and hopefully there will be a join up scene with Lou and Stetson. But that is something I'm looking forward to seeing with this story arc for Lou this season. Smoking Holster said, I really don't have the time today to write a proper review, but I've watched the episode twice and have a few thoughts which I'll list right after saying that I enjoyed the episode until the scene where Amy just shut Nathan down in the barn while he waited with a surprise picnic for her. It just seems wrong to do it that way. The scenery, as always, was great. Loved the drone shots and all the time spent outside rather than a bunch of studio shots. First, I hate that they've now using Finn as this evil character they created when Robert passed. Let the poor guy rest in peace. I'll never understand why Amy reaches out to Lou for couples advice. Lou's love life is the stuff nightmares are made of, and for the most part is always wrong. Peter was way worse initially than Nathan. Sorry. Nathan never blew holes in Heartland, and let's all not forget he's still a big oil ex. Business is always business and not personal. Nathan is not the enemy and maybe understand that Garland Food is no longer a family enterprise and that Jack, Tim, and Lou barging through their corporate offices demanding answers from the new CEO would be enough for me if it was that person to divest myself of ever doing business with Heartland again. Nice to see Logan back. Tim's request of him not nice and not like the current Tim, more like the early seasons Tim. Not sure why they did that. I love that Katie is continuing on her writing path, though I think the age thing might come back into the story somewhere down the line. I love Amy and Nathan together. They're flirty, playful, they laugh together and have tons in common, and he seems to get along great with Lindy. I'm glad I know that things will turn around for them based on the previews we've seen. Not sure what to say about Tristan except that everything she said is an excuse. To me, if you're unhappy, talk it out or break up, get a divorce. Cheating is just self-aggrandizing and selfish. I was wondering if there's more to, obviously probably is, to the story with Nathan sort of being quote unquote aggressive businessman, because there was that moment in the barn after Molly had gotten hurt where Amy's like, okay, well, what's going on with you? You seem a little distracted. And he's like, well, there's a lot going on actually, but then he doesn't talk about it. I wonder if there's something going on like with Nathan's dad maybe, or what was that foreman like maybe there's more pressure from someplace else rather than just him being like, I need the money. So I don't know, just putting that out there as well. And I do like that this is all a bit of a mystery, because I do enjoy when I'm able to speculate more and something isn't just delivered to me on a silver platter, because it makes my mind rush and brings out ideas that could possibly happen. And maybe, maybe they don't happen, but at least I had fun trying to come up with possible scenarios and theories and all that. I mean, this is what the podcast is about anyway. So yeah, I was thinking that there could be more to that moment, like maybe him thinking like how he trained Molly with Tristan or all that. And speaking of Tristan, I was actually thinking that we will probably see her at some point, because it's really a big part of Nathan's story, but I wasn't expecting her to turn out this quickly. But I think it worked with the story. I mean, it planted that seed of doubt in Amy's mind that we will now probably see her try to dig out through the whole season. So yeah, it worked out. And now it's kind of, I feel like, sorted, because I wouldn't have wanted it to happen when Nathan and Amy are like really in love and happy and everything's perfect, and then she comes in, makes Nathan shut down, and it's just like back to square one. Like, I feel like now that I think about it, it was good that it happened this fast, so they can sort of start from the hard stuff first and then slowly build up from that. Then Patricia said, wow, Amy didn't want to deal with Nathan's package just yet. Molly dealt well with her fear. Now it's his turn. Lou is a pistol. Tim struck out again with his busy, nosy self. Logan put him in his place. Proud of Logan for standing up to Tim. Tim backed down, did right by giving Stetson to Lou. Like some of you pointed out, I feel like in this episode, Tim had some old Tim showing. I always feel like whenever Jessica is away, he's kind of on his bad behavior sometimes. But I did like that even though he was grumpy and insisting on Amy keep working with Stetson, that eventually he was like, okay, I can't force this, and Lou needs a horse. So I think that was really sweet. And then with Logan, like him establishing that if you need help, just ask him, because he can trust this family and all that. So at least some good did come out of that. Overall, I feel like this is a really strong starting point for the season, and I can't wait to see what's happening next. So let's look into the next episode, actually, because it's streaming tomorrow on CBC Gem. So the episode is called Bird's Eye View. Caleb returns to help Avi with a mysterious Icelandic course. Weather conditions force Lou to build a firebreak with the enemy. So Caleb is back, and I'm really interested to see the storyline with the Icelandic horses because they're very common here in Finland, and they have a lot of history, and the breed is very specific in many ways, like the gaits that they have, the way that they can't return to Iceland anymore once they've left the island, just sort of name a few. So I'm really hoping that this horse storyline is gonna be informative at the same time that it will be entertaining. Not excited to see Caleb return, but well, we'll see what happens. And then obviously we have Lou dealing with Nathan, I suspect, because it's just said the enemy. For those watching tomorrow on CBC Gem, enjoy episode 2. And for those who watch from CBC TV, and if you're here, enjoy episode 1, even though we just completely spoil it for you. But that's your own fault because I warned you. And I could give you another advice, which would be that keep your noses clean and your powder dry, as they say. See you next week. Bye.